India and Morocco share close relationship. With me is Morocco's ambassador to talk about this relationship and other international issues as well. Sir, welcome to WION. It's great to have conversation with you, and I'll start with your country first. We know that recently UK has agreed to Morocco's plan when it comes to the Sahara issue. How do you see this development as?
First of all, I would like to welcome you once again in the embassy, and we on to congratulate it for being a very well-known channel, and it's a privilege to be here. In fact, yes, when it comes to the Moroccan Sahara issue, it has seen steady developments recently. In fact, for the last few years. One of the last but not the least is the UK recognizing that the autonomy plan is the most credible for the solution and the resolution of this issue. And then UK, as you know, is a member of the Security Council. Now, out of the five, three are recognizing, or at least they have seen in the autonomy plan as the best solution for finding an end and then ending up this regional dispute, I would say. It also was followed by Ghana, a very important back-in country before for the Polisario. And then yesterday, incidentally, the previous president of South Africa, Jacob Zuma, also in his party, said that the Moroccan plan represents the only solution for solving this problem, and then is requesting the South African authorities to review these things. So we have seen developments, very recent developments, and I hope also that India will join this trend of the countries backing the Moroccan autonomy plan to solve this, I would say, artificial dispute which has lived for so long.
So essentially, you see it as a diplomatic win for Morocco?
It is. It is. In fact, you see, Morocco has never jeopardized and then have never bargained on his own territory, but it has always gone for the ways facilitating the solution of this problem. And then by seeing people at last admitting and understanding the importance of this issue for Morocco and also for the solving this problem, because you see that place is a very critical place, the Sahara and then the Sahel, and then it can be a source of crises, not only for Africa, but also for Europe. So stability there, and then I think Morocco has proved to be a very credible, stable country with strong institutions, and then it's the interest of all the international community to solve this problem the way Morocco looks at it, especially that economically this region is also becoming one of the solutions for the deadlocked countries in Africa. I'm sure that as a journalist you would have been following the initiative which has been launched by His Majesty to disenclave the deadlocked countries in Africa and to give them access to the Atlantic Ocean. I take this opportunity to invite India to be part of this huge and important initiative. Why? Because India is a very important maritime country. It has also its a very thriving and then very developing economy. It has also a lot of interest to be much more present in the western side of Africa, because it's much more visible in the eastern side, but western side in Africa would be a very good outreach for both the countries. And I believe Morocco being a stable country, but also a regional power, and then India becoming a global power, they can join their hands and launch initiatives for development in Africa, because it is in the core of their understanding. It's also in the core of their policy. Africa is very important for India. Through the forum, which I think it will be taking place later this year, and also through Morocco, which has always believe that the continent in which they live is a responsibility to develop all these parts of the regions.
I was coming to the India relationship. How do you see the India relationship, India-Morocco relationship? What are the key pillars of this relationship? If you can perhaps give an overview of the status of the relationship.
I believe that India-Morocco relations can stand on a few pillars. I would tell 4 pillars. The first one is the economic development. I think the Morocco becoming an industrial hub, India is developing very seriously, and then also becoming a major exporter of industry components, name it and define it, either in steel, in car industries, in IT technologies, in hardware, in softwares. So there are a lot of things which we can benefit industrially. The second thing, apart from the economic development, and in this way, let me tell you that when the visit of His Majesty took place on the margin of the India-Africa Summit, the third one, our level of trade was between $1.1–1.2 billion, and then we reached in 2023 a level high of $4.2 billion. To stabilize it at $2.5 billion, which is, in comparison with the distance we have, is a lot of money. But otherwise, we moved from 13 Indian companies present to more than 45 now in Morocco. So Morocco is somehow attracting more and more industries in this side. The second pillar, which I found it, is the people-to-people relations. And for this, I think throughout history, since Ibn Battuta, the trade has been flourishing between the two countries and then between the two nations and their respective maritime prisons. But recently, when Morocco opened the e-visa for the Indians, we have seen a growth of 43% last year, and then we expect more than 50% this year. So I believe there is very big liking of the Moroccans by the Indians. In fact, there are many cinema theaters in Morocco which screen only Indian movies. So some people speak Hindi through the movies. Many people have so many learned. They have learned many of the songs, Indian songs, and then they do it in a permanent way. Besides, institutionally speaking, there are associations of the Indians. Last but not least, I believe that we celebrated 100 years of cinema in Morocco before the Indians did it. That's the second pillar. The third one is cooperation in the sensitive issues, very important, like defense, like security, like counterterrorism, an important issue for both our countries, maritime security and space security. And then these also constitute a very important pillar in which we are moving. The fourth pillar, I believe, is also very important, is the global issues. India is a very big contributor to peacekeeping forces. Morocco is also a global participant and an also contributor since the early 60s. So they have always been in the heart of solving global issues. They have always been in the heart of finding solutions instead of creating solutions. And then that's the positive image they have. Then when it comes to global issues like climate change, we know the heat these days happening in Delhi is somehow unique. And then unfortunately things are becoming worse year after year because of the behavior from mankind. So I think these global issues and in international organizations, coordination is very important for both countries. Globally speaking, we can say that the content which we have in our relations and the amount of agreements that we have signed, especially recently, give an essential strategic elements to our relations. You see, the backbone of our relations is food security, which India, through the Indian buying the fertilizers and then the phosphates, and then for Morocco is the importance of developing defense, for instance, industries, economic developments, and I believe that Morocco can develop quite well with India in both their sides of the countries.
So you mentioned about a few issues which I would like to delve upon. First, on the issue of terrorism, India suffered the Pahalgam terror attack, something that really shocked India and the international community. What is your country's stance in the aftermath of the Pahalgam terror attack?
Let me first see this opportunity to present my sincere condolences, and then the condolences of the Moroccan people to the victims of terrorism, especially of this attack, which is unprecedented. I also would like to say that Morocco was one of the first countries to write officially to express its refusal of the terrorism in all its forms and to stand by India against all this kind of terrorism. I believe that terrorism is a cause that needs the efforts of the international community, and we shouldn't take it very lightly. Why? Because it hinders economic development, it hinders also the development as a whole of all countries, but also it creates situations in which countries are destabilized. And then you can see now we don't need these terrorist attacks with what's happening in the whole world, as we were discussing before the interview. And then you see, unfortunately, the west of Asia is burning in so many ways. So I think we need to stand by each other when it comes to fighting terrorism. This is also a very good opportunity for me to say that the approach that Morocco has done to counterterrorism has been applauded elsewhere because it is based on different pillars. The first one is the socio-economic development, because that is where the recruiters of unfortunately, of these terrorists find ground. So we need to develop economically our regions and then the places where there is a huge poverty. The second is through intelligence. I think it's important to have this intelligence and then to prevent things before they happen and not to be preemptive. So there is also an important role that our intelligence and sharing of intelligence is very, very positive, and then it's happening, reinforcing. Then the third element is also through the education, through the reinsertion of the people who have been victims. I would say always that the attackers of the terrorist attacks, partly also they are victims of the recruiters who change and then brainwash their minds. And I am so happy to announce that with the institution of imams, of Murshidin in Morocco, India is also benefiting from a program where we take few of the imams and to give them the tolerant and an open Islam, the real Islam which is not distorted like many others wanted to show it in this case. So we stood by India in this terrorist attack, all the force that's
United Nations Security Council reforms, what is your country's stance on that?
I think the world we are living now is completely different from the world in which the institution of the UN was created, that is in the aftermath of the Second World War. There are new realities, new emerging powers, new geopolitical and then I would say always realities. There is an importance of reforming the Security Council, and then there are emerging voices like India as the voice of the South, but also Africa as 54 countries. They need to be represented in the Security Council. So Morocco is backing India for getting its permanent seat in the Security Council in the new reform. And then it has said it's loud and high. And then we need to reinforce the discussions and then to make the pace move forward to make this happen, because the world cannot be led while the multilateral cooperation is not happening the way it should. We need to look at things differently. I think India and Morocco are very important. They see as multilateral diplomacy is very important to solve problems because we need it. And then the way it is now managed, we need to look at it differently.
So essentially, Morocco supports India at the United Nations Security Council. That is as member. My last question to you, sir, is on the defense and security aspect. How is Morocco an important partner when it comes to India's focus on building more defense capabilities and capacities, especially in Africa?
I think, thank you for this question because it's very important. India comes as a privileged partner when Morocco decided to diversify its partners. It was taken a few years back, and we started the discussion with India for the, what I call the sensitive domains and issues. And then when it comes to defense, I think there are few active companies from India from which Morocco gets few of the equipments, but more importantly, I put on record that the first ever Indian industry, defense industry, is happening in Morocco. It's through the TASL, that is Tata Advanced Systems. Which they are building a factory for the armored vehicles in Morocco, what we called WAP 8x8. And then it will be, I think, before the end of this year, it will be open. It will open huge opportunities for India to export its in defense industry, not only to Morocco, but also to target the African and then European countries, and why not the United States, since Morocco has free trade agreements with all these countries. And with the coming of the larger intercontinental free zone, we definitely will see an India more present in different sectors, including defense, in the African continent.
On that note, thank you so much, sir, for talking about not only the Morocco plan when it comes to the Sahara issue, but also about the India-Morocco relationship and where the future is. Thank you so much, sir, for speaking to WION.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for coming, and then I'll be happy to welcome you whenever you feel right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. With video journalist Neeraj Patel, Sidhant Sibal for WION in New Delhi.